Mark Tilley, and welcome back to Dirtbike Magazine's YouTube channel. Today, we're really excited. The new dual sport models from KTM finally hit the US shores, and they're all new for 2024. So it's got new frame, new engine specs. We're gonna do something a little bit different this time. We're going to test the bike completely stock. We've never really done this before with dual sports. We've always at least changed the tires into more off-road oriented tires, but we're going full stock. These are the Continental tires that come on this bike. This bike, as it sits, is exactly how you will get it from your local dealership. So we're gonna test it stock and then kind of come back and see what you think with an all new frame, all new engine, all new stuff, more like what the modern KTM 500SX is. This is the 500Exc-F. It's the model that doesn't have linkage. So there's a lot of similarities to the MX models, and then there's a lot of differences as well. So we're gonna go ride this thing and then come back later on and tell you what we think. So we just got done with our first day of testing on the 2024 KTM 500Exc model. For not really having very much time on the stock tires, you'll see in the video, we were able to do a lot of stuff. Actually really surprised with how much stuff we were able to do. That would still be one of the first things that we would change, would be more of an off-road oriented tire. There's a bunch of companies that make DOT approved tires, and then depending on what kind of riding you're doing, some guys just have it to where they're riding, you know, a couple couple miles on the street to get to the dirt. So some people go full on knobbies, but still really impressed with how the bike did with the stock tires. This all new frame is noticeably more rigid than what the previous generation model was. You have to be aware of that. And then with these stock tires too, there is a lot of air in these tires. So we let some air out of the tires. It kind of helped a little bit without feeling everything into your hands, but it is noticeably more rigid all the way around. Not having the linkage in the rear on the KTM as opposed to some of the other bikes that do have the linkage on the rear. Didn't really notice a lot there in general. It is more of a progressive feel with the PDS shock. The fork works well. It is a spring type closed cartridge fork. No complaints there. Some of the stuff that the new switches, it sounds like a weird thing, but the new switches take a little bit to get used to. You have the kill switch and the starter switch all in the same switch on the right hand side, and sometimes that takes a little bit of getting used to. I found myself actually trying to start the bike when I was trying to turn the bike off. So some people don't really like that. The bike's great. I mean, it's a fun motorcycle to ride. The one thing that we did have a little bit of issues with is right down low, like when we were kind of going through rocks and stuff like that, the bike wanted to flame out, and it did flame out a few times. So I think that that might be something maybe in some mapping or some other settings that we can go through and find one of those guys that is a guru in mapping, like maybe even Jamie at Twisted Development might already have a map developed for this. But overall, great motorcycle. We love these motorcycles. If you are sensitive to that rigidity, you are gonna want to maybe soften up the suspension a little bit, maybe look for some engine hangers and stuff like that to make it a little bit better and a little bit more rider friendly. This bike geared more towards somebody that's gonna be more aggressive on the throttle and everything. It's a lot like the motocross model. It feels a lot like that bike. I mean, from the ergonomics to the seats a little bit stiffer than what we're used to on a dual sport bike, but it feels like more tendencies for the motocross model than ever before, than any of the other dual sports. And that could be that it's got the new frame, it's got a lot of the same components now that the motocross models have. So naturally it's gonna feel more like that. Again, this is the first day of testing on this motorcycle. You know, no major complaints. You know, tires right away, and stay tuned because we're gonna do a lot more testing and a lot more trying out products on this particular motorcycle. So we're gonna be doing some update videos throughout the year, and then you can kind of come back if you have this motorcycle, and maybe we'll try a slip-on, maybe we'll try, definitely gonna do different tires, maybe we'll go with some different gearing and, you know, even some performance stuff like a different ECU or some different mapping in general. You definitely want to look in your area and see what is legal and what's not legal. Some places like in California, you can't really touch these things. You have to ride them the way that they are. If you do anything with a ignition box or anything like that, like ECU wise, it voids the warranty, it voids the legalities of it. So definitely double check your local laws to make sure that you're not doing anything that you're not supposed to be doing. So like we said, come on back and see what products we've tested on this bike. So if you want the full in-depth test, check out the March issue of Dirtbike magazine and check back on our YouTube channel because we are going to test a lot of products on this motorcycle. I know right off the bat, we're gonna do tires, we're gonna do a slip-on, some ECU stuff, and then probably some suspension work. So check back to our or to dirtbikemagazine.com, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our latest releases.